Hey, it's Mark Lanier with your video thought for the day. All right, another request off of an email. I want you to imagine, kind of like in some Lord of the Rings type movie or something. Imagine that you're walking through a valley that's filled with nothing but, I don't know, dry, lifeless bones. And there's an eerie silence that just envelops you. This is the scene that confronted the prophet Ezekiel. And it's one of the most vivid reads in the Old Testament. It's one of the most powerful visions in the Old Testament. This valley of death was about to become a testament to God's incredible power to bring life from even the most hopeless situations. And that's the passage I want to talk to you about. It's in Ezekiel chapter 37, and 3 quick points. First of all, God has power over death. And I don't mean here just physical death, though certainly has power over that. But as God led the prophet Ezekiel into a valley full of dry bones, he asked this question. He says, "Can these bones live?" Now, this question wasn't just about physical resurrection. This question was also and mainly about spiritual revival. See, the dry bones represented Israel while they were in exile in Babylon, and they were scattered. They were hopeless. They were spiritually dead. And God demonstrated and proclaimed in this vision that he has power over both physical and spiritual death. There is no situation that's too dire for God to transform. Which brings me to my second point. There's an importance here of what Ezekiel was called to do. He was called to prophesy. God instructed Ezekiel to speak, to prophesy to the bones. And it shows us the power of speaking God's word into situations of desolation and despair and death. And as Ezekiel speaks God's words, the bones begin to come together. Flesh appears. And that's what happens when our words align with God's will. When we have God's words aligned with our words, there's a transformation, a coming to life that can happen. Third and final point. None of this worked with Ezekiel without God's Spirit breathing into those reassembled bones. It's not enough for us to get our gear and our act together if we want to confront lifelessness and desolation. True revival, whether it's personal or communal, true revival requires God's Spirit. We don't manufacture spiritual life on our own. We need the breath of God. So where does this leave us in this video thought for the day? How does this ancient vision apply to you and apply to me? First, remember, no situation is beyond God's control. No situation is beyond his ability to bring life and vibrancy. Second, we need to be involved in speaking words of life and words of hope and words that are scripturally based into the lives of others or into the desolation in our own lives. And then third, we need to seek God's Spirit, his presence among us as we try to find this life in the midst of despair. So, as I look at this passage, what do? I urge you to consider how God can speak into your life in those situations that confront you and your loved ones, and then speak into them in love, praying for God's presence. It's why I've made this your video thought for today.